All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Giving double honors to the apostle and elder of the great millstone. Shalom to the hopefully leg. Shalom to all the brothers out here laboring in this truth with sincerity. Shalom to the few sisters that watch. It's coming back with another lesson. Just saw the brother put this in the chat. And Salakia. Salakia, had to turn that TV down, but a lot going on. It says no casualties reported after Iran missile attack on U.S. base in Qatar. And we see this, it's all over the news at this point. They're making light of it, saying there was no damage done. They're bragging if they want to just, if that makes them feel good that they shot missiles on the base and it didn't cause damage, so be it. These people, these Edomites are so proud. They're downplaying what's going on, to the masses through the media. But this is a serious incident. You don't just strike a base and then the United States make light of it. They're just doing this to keep, the Babylonians, the Americans, mostly, the Edomites here in a calm state, to think they're still ruling, to think they're still in control of the matter. But, Iran is not backing down. They're not scared. They're proving a point, and things are going to escalate if it keeps going, man. That whatever they say they're going to do, they're doing it, and America has to respond after this. You don't just attack a U.S. base and then nothing happens, no retaliation. So the media is making light of it, but we know behind the scenes it's, chaos, stress. What are we going to do? Let's, we have to deal with this situation. But, hey man, our eyes are open. Yahweh Shem Shai has put the spirit upon us to be able to go in the scriptures and see, actually see what's going on before they even know what's going on. That's the beautiful thing about this truth, man. So we're just going to go to the book of Joel, and we'll go to verse 9. This is what's going on. No, these nations are not scared, man. They had enough of America, Babylon the Great. They're tired of them, man. They're tired of the bully, so they're coming up against the bully. And, by any means that they're going to do what they got to do. And it's all the spirit of the Lord, man. The Lord is putting the spirit upon these leaders, these military leaders, Donald Trump, Putin, all of them, to do this, man. So, matter of fact, let's go to the book of Proverbs, because people seem to think that they're in control of what's going on. So this is the book of Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 1. It says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh. And this just means all kings, all rulers. The Lord is controlling them, man. It says, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So whatever, he puts their mind where he wants them to be. If he wants them to shoot a missile, he put it in their mind to do that. If he want them to back down and negotiate, he put it in their mind to do that. That's what's going on. But, these people don't understand, man. This is the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. We see this taking place. We see the spirits of these men being riled up to battle. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. That's what's going on, man. Iran is saying, we don't care. We know we're not as strong as you, but we're not backing down, But we are strong, and we are willing to use the weaponry that we have. That's what's going on, man. People are just utterly tired of America, man. and their rulership. We know a kingdom or empire really only lasts 250 years. And, they just had a celebration of 250 years of the army, which was on Trump's birthday, trying to show to display their power, which was really weak. But nonetheless, man, these other nations are being riled up through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So, it's going to continue to escalate, and we know as it continues to escalate, that's just forward in prophecy, man. So we're not against it. Call all Yahweh Hashem Yahushua 144 or 414, but 144 we know. So with that being said, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, and Kakwadash. Shalom.